Yes, good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about scope management and work breakdown structure. It's an important element of project management because this is the part where you design the project in detail, every step of the project, and every responsibilities, every important jobs, key factors, key standpoints of the project. You decide in this scope management. We will be talking about these. And here, as you see here, we will see scope management, scope statements, work breakdown structure, responsibility assignment matrix, and the roles of the management and the people. We will see these. And in the UPM book, core concepts, the following concepts are covered in this chapter. So, what is a project scope? What do we mean by that? First, I want to start with that. Scope is literally means everything about a project, content of the project, and expected outcomes of the project. So you need to provide this, okay? And the scope management means the function, the controlling of a project, starting from the conceptual development till the project close out. You need to define the goals and objectives of the project. What steps we have here? First of all, the conceptual development of the project, the idea phase, the idea development phase of the project, and then you develop a scope statement. You then authorize the work from the company. If this is a, let's say you bring it to the top management, for example, your idea, your scope statement, and if they authorize you, you can start the project. Again, you have scope reporting and control systems. While you are doing the project, you are ongoing the project, you control and monitor the scope because you have defined some specific goals, some specific deadlines, and you assign these responsibilities to specific people. You need to control and monitor them. This is another important issue. And then you close out the project and you finish it. So conceptual development part is the first part. In this part, you need to explain why do we need this project. Remember that when you prepare your project plans for this course, you are also expected to prepare something like that in the introduction part, the problem statement part, okay? Or introduction part, I don't remember the exact name of it, but this is always in all projects it is wanted. I mean, why you are starting that project? Why do we need such a project? What kind of needs, what kind of requirements do we have to do that project, right? So the problem and need statement is actually explains why do you decide to or want to do that project, right? And this is an important process because when you come up with an idea, generally the financiers of the project who give the credit, who give the money or fund of that project will ask you some specific questions, right? Actually, this is a part of the conceptual development. I mean, you are preparing a application form, let's say, to a fund, or you are preparing a scope management document to the top managers to get funding for your project idea, and they will ask you some questions, right? How you will do that, right? What will you produce at the end of the project? What will be the outcome? Is it a product? Is it a service? Is it something? What do you want to achieve, right? And what are your constraints? Is there some limitations that could affect your project, right? Do you think about alternative options if something goes wrong in your project? And I said your objectives and the business case. So how come this project will help the business, right? How come this project would contribute to overall business, overall institution, university, wherever you want to, or society? And the the project objectives should be clearly told, written in the conceptual development part. So when I ask you, for example, hypothetically develop a project, you need to explain this to me as well in that project plan papers. Okay, you need to write them down. Why do you want to apply such a project? Who will be beneficial from that project? What are the outcomes? What are the objectives of that project? Is there limitations? These kind of things should be there. So a statement of work, by the way, is a detailed narrative description of the work required for a project. So a project, you name the project. I want to, let's say, build a bridge on the Bosphorus, build a fourth bridge on the Bosphorus, right? So this is the project. Okay, you name the project. You define the need of the project because of the traffic, because of the need of the cars or people of Istanbul. You say you listed many need analysis. You made it, and you decided to run that project. But what do you need is you need to provide in detail what kind of works will be done in that project, right? Step by step. So it should contain, the statement of work contain an introduction and the background, technical description of the project. It's very important. You need to technically describe how do you build up that bridge, right? I mean, it's a very complex engineering thing, instruction thing, but you need to have a guideline. You need to have a project, a plan to build that project, build that bridge. You cannot start without that. So you need the statement of work, and also you need to provide a timeline and milestones for your project, right? What kind of important works will be there during your timeline, and how do you plan to achieve them? These are very important. So these are the statement of work components, the contents. What do we have here? Background, objectives, scope, tasks and requirements, selection criteria, deliverables and delivery schedule, security, place of performance and period of performance. So all of these detailed information should be there in the statement of work. So an example. So for example, a US Department of Defense request for proposal for a new army field communication device. Okay, they request some technical companies to produce that project, produce that device for them, and they are actually giving some specific information about that device. Let's read it. No greater than 15 inches long by 15 inches wide by 9 inches deep. Go on. So as you can see here, they give very specific technical details. What do they need about, right? So a statement of work could be like this in very detail. I want this device with these specialties, these requirements, this height, this weight, this size. But on the other hand, they could also be very general, okay? And I mean, you want to have a, let's say, you want to build up a store, open up a store, and you just say general, I want to open a store in the Ankara, Çankaya region. So bring me a project about where can we open up these projects, right? This store. So it could be like general, it could be that specific. It's up to the conditions, content of the project. It can change. So what's the project charter? The main organization established this after the statement of work. So project charter is a document created by the project initiator or the sponsor. So authorizes project managers to begin the project, okay, activities. So it is created once project sponsors have done their homework to verify that a business case for the project, elements of projects are understood, and company-specific information for the project has been applied. So it demonstrates the formal approval of the company for the project. What do you mean by that? I mean, you make the homework, you make the desk work, and now you approve the project team to continue their operations, to start the project, to use the company resources, monetary and human resources, to start that project, begin that project, okay? So it's done through project charter. And scope statements, what does it mean? Let's look at that. So a scope statement should include the goal criteria, which have the cost, the schedule, the performance, deliverables, even approval gates. Okay, and develop a management plan for the project. Who will be responsible for which activity? Establish a work breakdown structure. We will see this what work breakdown structure is. It's the project's component sub-steps, so small sub-steps of projects, work packages, so that you can manage the project in a very easier way. And also create a scope baseline, which is a document that provides a summary description of each component of the project's goals. Okay, so let's look at work breakdown structure, WBS. This is slicing your project into some small work packages. Work breakdown structure means that. So, for example, I ask you to write a research proposal, let's say for this course, okay, for your graduate course. So, what would be your work breakdown structures? What kind of tasks, different tasks, can you name, right? I mean, first of all, the task one is refining your topic, right? Deciding a topic to work on as a research proposal. This is the number one task for your research proposal in general. And then you assign some library research responsibilities, right? Let's say you are working as a team, as a group, you three work for developing one research proposal. So you assign each people to look up different literatures. I mean, you found, let's say, 100 articles, and you divide it into three to skim through them. And then you develop a preliminary outline for paper and presentation, right? After you read the literature, you provide an outline for your paper, and you assign team members who will present which part of it, and then you begin production of the drafts of the paper. You write the draft papers, and then you proofread it and correct the drafts, then refine the class presentation, and task 8, turn in paper and make classroom presentation. So when you think, look at that, I mean, it's a very familiar thing for you that you do. I mean, if you go in details like that, divide it to 8 work breakdowns, 8 tasks, and if you give specific responsibility to specific people, actually it will be much better for you, much easier for you to follow up that research proposal, and it also increases the quality of the work. If you just, without, for example, refining your topic, if you start doing literature review, I mean, it is meaningless, right? First, you need to find a topic. Or without making necessary readings, if you try to write a proposal, and you most probably write a very bad quality thing. So you can first order them by sequence, by time. It's helpful. And then you can divide the job responsibilities to people more easily. So let's look at a different example again. Yes, for example, a goal setting. Your project starts here. You set different goals, and you say you have project completion. If you don't have goal settings like that, okay, like these tasks, if you don't have like this, I mean, it will be much complicated for you to complete that project, right? How can you reach the end of the project as detailed, as controllable, like setting goals? So this work breakdown structures actually echoes project objectives, right? Organization chart of the project. The responsibilities are divided among the team members. You can track the cost, track the schedule, track the performance of your team. You also improve the project communication, and you create a control structure. Let's look at that system, for example. The hospital example, IT system project. You want to develop an IT system to a hospital. So first of all, your first work breakdown, first task is matching IT to problems, right? And some finding some IT people and just ask them about the problems of the hospital. And then identify user needs, prepare a proposal, seek and hire consultants, seek staff support, identify IT equation. And it goes like that, right? Pilot project, the purchase of it, adapt and usage of it. So as you see, this work breakdown structure, each of these have actually different works, different things that you need to do step by step. Are we clear on that work breakdown structure? I will give a more simple example now, a birthday party. I mean, like planning a birthday party as a project, okay? So let's say you, a birthday party, how can you do that? First of all, you have to make a plan for it, right? Where do you want to do it? Whom will be invited to the birthday party? You provide food, you provide supplies, you provide setup, and then clean up, okay? And then you can go more details for each of it. For each of these work breakdowns, you can go more tasks, more breakdowns, right? For example, setup here, games and entertainment, cleaning and furniture. So this is the detail of setup subdimension, okay? And then more details, right? For example, games and entertainment, but what kind of games? Volleyball and pool, what kind of cleaning? Cleaning house, mowing grasses, or furniture. What kind of tables, chairs, or tents would be used in that birthday party? So as you see here, for each of the step, actually you need to go in detail. You need to write down all possible steps, all possible works that you need to do, and then you start your project. Are we clear on that work breakdown structure? Any questions?
It's clear for me, hocam.
Thank you, Ece. Okay. So, a properly developed work breakdown structure allows you to identify every single element of your work, okay, required to complete the project. So, you know every detailed single activity of your project. Once you have done this, you are now able to move rapidly forward in the planning process. Okay? Because you know what you need to do, you know what kind of steps each step could be done. So it is a very different thing. Okay, just I'm gonna arrange a birthday party. Okay, and it's a very different thing to list all of these works need to be done and assign someone to do that. Okay, I mean it will be much better to write down every detail. Okay, so what kind of things that you need to do while you're designing that work breakdown structure? First of all, time. How many days, how many weeks, how many months need to spend to do that specific work activity? What will be the cost of that activity? So you know that which activity costs how much money. Okay. Overall, you have a prediction about the project's budget, right? How do you get that prediction? By looking at every single activity that you need to done to that project, and then you calculate them. Right? Calculate the overall cost. It's very important. So, how that work will be done? Scope. Who will do that? Right? What will be produced at the end of it? Responsibility. Who will be responsible for specific work and activity? The resources. What kind of supplements, materials are needed? Quality, how well the work should be done, how well any output should perform, and the other activities, relationship with the other activities, what would be the sequence of the project's activities, okay? Another example here, work breakdown structure in more detail. As you see here, we are giving information on, let's say, project XYZ and a work breakdown, a work package of design, Phoenix design. So there will be 3 people you need to be here. Three people that you need to employ here for that specific work package, a mechanical guy, electrical guy, and a software guy, right? So you define who is responsible there, Mr. Jones and Ray Smith and Baker, and how much weeks they need to, how much they need to work, how long, and what kind of resources, what kind of additional people in their team they need to have, and their estimated costs. Okay. Precedent task here means that this activity should be finished to start the second activity. Okay, it gives us seconds. Or for example, for the electrical activity to be started, the mechanical activity should be done, should be completed, and the software activity to be started, these two must be finished. We will see in detail in the next weeks this sequences, the precedence, and how can you design the timeline of the project. Okay.
Hocam, can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
And resources can be products, like, and the estimated cost will be the cost of the product, or it is only service?
It could be both. It could be both, but here they give the example of employees, labor.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And the responsibility assignment matrix is a tool that identifies how project participants interact with the activities of the project. Right, the example. Yes, as you see here, there are activities in detail, and who will be responsible, who will be support, who will be consulted, who will be notified, who will be approved, and who will review the project. So for each of these activities, actually you put these marks, right? So the R means that responsible people for that activity. Okay. S means support. If there is need some support, they will give the support. Okay. Is it clear, that matrix for you? I think it's easy.
Yes.
Because I mean, you now dedicated the you now actually divided the responsibilities, divided the activities responsibilities to specific people. So they know what to do, they know who to report, they know who to consult, they know how to get support. So it's more clear for everyone to do the project. Okay. And a work package. A work package means the lowest level in work breakdown structure. You cannot divide the work package into more details. Okay, a work package is a single thing. You cannot divide it more. It's at the end. It's a deliverable result. I mean, you need to have a result for it. It's not a abstract thing. It's concrete. It has one owner. It's milestone, miniature projects, and it's fixed organization, and it must be trackable. So what do we mean by that? Here you see the deliverables, work breakdown structure in the work breakdown structure, and for each of it there are work packages. It's the lowest level. For example, for 141 is one work package. 143 is another work package. 143 is the last work package. So when this work package is done, this done, you can say that this component is deliverable now. It's completed. Okay, but it's the lowest level. Don't forget that. So the project of going to the moon. Okay, and you have a team here. You gather materials. You have launching. So actually, you see here another thing. How do you divide the money, divide the finance of the project as well, right? So the gathering materials, for example, the most expensive thing is the rocket here, and then space suites, right? So this is the example of how you break the work down. There are some tools in MS Project, like Microsoft Office's program. You can do this kind of project tracking things, sample work breakdown structures. You just list your work packages and tasks, and then you name some responsible person to the program. So organizational breakdown structures, what is that? Actually, it gives you who own the work packages, who will be responsible from the work packages in the specific project, and how budget should be assigned to the departments. As you see here, the project is out there. The project work breakdown structure is there, and the departments of the company, information systems, human resources, procurement, right? How do they, for example, link to that VBS? So as you see here, for developing criteria, information systems, human resources, and procurement are all contributing, and they require some budget this year. And for selecting consulting, only information systems have something here. Another responsibility assignment matrix, actually, I mean, we see an example of it. It's another version of that. Similarly, the responsible persons notified, who will be notified, who will provide support, who will provide the approval. And it's the same thing with the previous one. And here you see another representation, another budget and responsibility list. Okay, so here you see that the overall budget of the project, okay, is $700,000, and for step 1.1 it's $5,000. Step 1.2 is $2,750, and every responsible person are listed here. So we talk about these. We talk about work packages. The lowest level, delivery result, one owner, etc. And now we go on the work authorization part. Okay. So we, in detail, we decided how to do our activities, how to start our project, how to make it, right? Give me a minute, sorry. Okay, sorry for that. So the work authorization part is the go ahead time. Okay, now you start the project. So you make the contracts, you get the required permissions from your company or from a third party, whoever will be giving you the fund of the project. Okay, when they say yes, you can start. And then scope reporting, you need to always be reporting the current status of the project. So the cost status, the schedule status, the technical performance status. So how is progressing? What percentage is it going on? Is it everything is okay? Are you all tracking the deadline, or you miss the deadlines, right? So you need to define who will be reported, what types of information will be reported, when and how this information is acquired and disseminated. So this is called scope reporting. I mean, you just give information on the progress of the project. So there are some reasons why projects may fail, right? Although you could have done very good work breakdown structures, you could have done very good work packages, very good planning, timing. You can have the best budgeting, but the project may fail. Why? First of all, the politics could be a problem. By politics, I mean generally the in-company politics. Okay, not the general politics. They could be also impactful, but generally in companies there are some groups who are fighting for the authority, fighting for the power against each other, and some managers could not be supportive, right, to some other managers' projects. Then there could be some problems. Optimism of the youth, younger people about the project's promises is another reason. For example, generally, young people, young workers are very eager to do new projects, eager to new ideas. They believe that these ideas will be a success, but the reality could be different, and the experience is important here. What then? The intense competition, right, in the global marketplace. So not only you are developing a new project, others also develop, your competitors, especially for the new products, new product development projects for companies. It's the case. So you are developing a new high-tech smartphone, but your competitor developing much more better, right? So how can you make sure that your project would be a success in the marketplace? Government regulations, legal things could be a reason to fail, and sometimes unexpected and unplanned crises like this coronavirus pandemic crisis or economic crisis, right? That you cannot control within the project, within the business, but it's an outside thing. So it hits the project and you cannot be successful. So the control systems, what kind of control systems do we have for projects? Actually, these, I don't want to go in detail of these, but the general idea of the control is that you need to know that whether you are on a good lead or whether you are on a bad lead. What do you mean by that? You make a plan. You say that you stated some objectives, some goals, some deadlines, some specific responsible persons for that project, etc. And you need to monitor that. If you don't monitor, you cannot know how is your progress. If there's a problem, you need to intervene. You need to change. You need to make changes for your project, right? So it could occur. Project change can occur every time. Maybe you plan it badly. Maybe you have a planning error, right? It's very normal. You cannot know everything before starting it. When you start that, maybe the costs are higher. Maybe the technology is not enough. Maybe there are some other problems. So you need to change some personnel, for example. These kind of things could happen, and some environmental conditions, some uncontrollable mandates. Mandates means the requirements of the project owner from you. They require some very strict rules from you, for example. You didn't expect that, and you need to somehow meet their expectations. And further client requests, always there could be some change in the project. It's not a problem, but to know that, to make that changes, you need to monitor the project. You need to control the deliverables. You need to control the work packages, whether you are on good lead or you are short. Okay, and then close out. I mean, you finish the project, you pack it, and you deliver it to the project owner. So close out is that. Okay, I think this is enough for today for me. Today we want to define what scope management means and how do we make actually a plan for the project, right? We generally put emphasis on that. So while you are making a project, the important thing is dividing your works into tasks, into work breakdown structures, and writing the every single detailed work activity in your plan. Okay, to produce some product, to provide a service, anything, any kind of project, you need to divide your project deliverables as a work packages, work activities, and you need to determine the cost of each work activity, okay, each work package, the timeline, the schedule of each work activity, the sequence of that each work activity, which we will be discussing in the next weeks, the sequence of it, the timeline, which one start when and when. These kind of things are important, and then who will be responsible, the human resources from each activity, each work packages. So this is what we call work breakdown structure and the responsibility assignment matrix for each project. These are very important. you are expected to understand them well. Any questions about that?
I have no question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you hocam.
Thank you hocam.
Thank you, Mela. Okay, let me stop recording then.